Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Marvel's Agents of S.h.i.e.L.D. Season 4, Episode 7. It's called Deals with Our Devils. Full spoilers for the episode as always. And I love how Connor was sort of nodding along at my numbering there, making sure I was getting the season and
Well, I
episode
mean,
number
I
right.
could see you stumble just for a second and think about it. Like season 4.
Dramatic pause, that's all that is.
Sure.
Pacing,
You just you keep telling yourself that.
line pacing's important.
Aye.
Anyway, it's been a month since the last episode of S.h.i.e.L.D.
I know.
So much so that this is the first time in a while where I felt like I needed the previously on just to update me, like what
Yeah,
happened last
because
time.
I legitimately couldn't remember quite where we were.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. As soon as the show, I was like, oh yeah, it was this and it was this, and I got it. I'm like, but like, if you'd asked me 5 minutes before I started watching, like, how did the last one end? And I've been like, uh,
Yeah, I needed that previously on.
yeah. So fair play. It was thorough. I brought me up to speed,
That's
but
why it's there.
it had been a long time. Of course, this ended up being quite a fun, different style of episode where. So at the end of the last episode, we had this shockwave went out when Eli did his thing, and as a result, Fitz and Coulson, along with Robbie, sort of go into ghost form, but even more so than the other ghosts were. They're on this other dimensional plane where no one else can see them. So this episode was like, we spent like, 10 minutes with just May and Mack and Daisy, and they're, you know, like, they think they're dead and they're talking about how to do things and should we use the book, and then we see all those scenes again, but this time from the perspective of Coulson and Fitz, and we see them like walking around the other ones and realizing they can't be seen. And
It's tropey, but it's fun.
I think for me, what I really liked though was Fitz in this episode. Him getting angry at Coulson later on in the episode, and he's not actually angry at Coulson. He's angry because the last time he spoke to Gemma, they had a fight and they never resolved that fight, and that's getting to him. And he had quite a good little breakdown, and he started shouting at Coulson. And I think his acting was pretty on point there.
Oh, definitely. It's great stuff.
Yeah. As for S.h.i.e.L.D. Doing well with action scenes, there wasn't as many of them in this episode, but I did quite appreciate the car bike chase when Mack was going all Terminator.
Yeah, I also liked it when she flicked out the rear of the car into the guy.
Oh yeah, that was quite good. I loved it when they were going down the alley though, because the car swerving to like and then hitting the wall. Like it felt they've been doing a good job this season with car chases.
Yeah, they've really had a sense of motion to them,
Yeah,
unlike some other TV shows.
yeah. It's almost like the DP or whoever realised they could get away with it on their budget, and they've been doing it a few times just to like,
Yeah,
all
it's
right,
like
yeah.
it's like when you get a new piece of tech. It's like, well, I can use it, so let's do it.
Yeah, it's almost like he figured out a technique to do it on their budget or on their whatever, and
Yeah,
or their new locations or whatever, and they've been using it a bit. But no, it looked really good, and and I say Mac went Terminator. I was thinking that before he actually pulled out the shotgun whilst on the bike,
yes,
but if my Terminator image wasn't already solidified, that was when it just came to fruition right there. But yeah, so Mac actually has the rider in him for a little bit in this episode.
yeah, I thought it was pretty cool.
Because the Raider doesn't like that Robbie's not corporeal anymore and decides to jump ship. But then Robbie tracks him down. Because he goes with Sky, like he's like all ghostly in the car with Sky, and he finds, but Mac can see him because it's not really Mac, it's the Raider, and the Raider speaks
Yeah,
to him, and Robbie makes a deal that if he comes back to him and helps him finish his grudge with Eli, he'll settle all of the Raider scores, whatever that means.
yeah. I mean, the first thing that springs to mind is just how he'll let the rider have like free reign and do all his vengeancey stuff, but that seems too simple.
Honestly, I feel like if it's going to be something simple, I would probably think it would be okay. They'll get Eli maybe at the end of the season.
Mm.
Although I say that they could also have him by before Christmas.
Yeah, it feels more mid-season to be
It
honest
does,
with this show.
but whenever they do get him, I almost feel like Robbie will just disappear because the Ghost Rider will have scores to settle in hell or something like that.
Yeah, could be.
and having Robbie let him go. It'll be an excuse to let him go away for a long time. I don't know. That would just be my
Yeah,
guess, but
yeah,
I could
makes
be
sense.
off. I don't know. Someone who's actually read Ghost Rider comics might actually,
Yeah,
come
we're
in.
not the most qualified people on that one.
Yeah, we're not. I'm just guessing based on what I've seen in the show.
I will say, given our unqualificationness, I was a little bit disappointed that when we had Mack as Ghost Rider on the bike, we didn't get the flaming skull for the
Well, it
complete
was on the
shot.
bike. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I know. That said, the actual flaming skull when it happened again looked good as it has done
Oh, it always has
throughout the
done
season.
this. It's I'm kind of becoming almost numb to it now,
Yeah.
where it's like, yeah, of course it looks good.
Just to jump back to Fitz for a second, do you know what I really liked? I liked how pissed he was at the new director. Like the way, like when he comes back, which is a great moment as well when they come back through the portal and like they're hugging and all that. But see when he comes back and he just immediately goes for him. He's like, "Hey, where's Simmons? I heard you on the phone." And Simmons shows up and it kind of deflates the situation. But I like that he was ready. I thought he was going to throw a punch,
I did too. I really thought he was going to,
which wasn't going to do anything because we've already seen him take punches like they're nothing.
but I could see him doing it anyway.
Yeah, just
Like, even though he knows that.
yeah, it's the principle that matter, not the actual pain that it may
Yeah,
not cause.
exactly.
Yeah. Speaking of Simmons, she was taken away. The evil senator who's blackmailing S.h.i.e.L.D. right now. They've got this inhuman who we did see briefly previously.
Which I'd completely forgotten about.
Yeah, to be fair, but it was only one scene in one episode, like ages ago. It was like a few episodes out of
Yeah.
the season. We've seen that this inhuman had been there for a while, and because I actually remember us talking about it, how it was weird because we thought it was a quick process, but they brought that up in this episode as it normally is.
Yeah, but I remember because I think we had a thing where you thought it had just happened, and I was like, no, all his post was there. All his mail was just kind of sitting around.
And that's why I thought that though, because it's always been a quick thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, whereas and they bring that up, it's like no, this is kind of the point. Even to the like she has kind of sweet talks him out of it, where it starts to crumble because she relaxes him. So I'm wondering if his powers get something to do with, why this is like it's
Yeah, I mean, I'd assume so.
yeah. But then she immediately gets dragged away as soon as she gets any progress. So obviously, this senator wants this hatched inhuman. What for? We don't know. Maybe that's a second half of the season set up sort of thing.
It's kind of getting to the point in the season now where it feels like it should be set up for the second half.
Yeah.
But again, I still am never 100% sure with this show anymore. It's like that I don't put it past it surprising me.
Yeah. S.h.i.e.L.D. seems to be sticking around now, which is great. I'm glad that they're going to be mending those bonds. Really pleased with that. Otherwise, though, I think everyone finding out Aida was an android was good fun. Although I'm a little disappointed May wasn't more pissed that she was fooled.
I think she would have been had it not been in that moment.
Yeah, because she's trying to save Coulson and Fitz, and
Yeah.
she's dead on the target.
It's almost like I can see we could still get that scene where she's pissed that she was fooled, just when she's not in a life or death situation.
Well, maybe time's probably passed for her to just be pissed about it, or at least in a sort of reactionary way. Maybe what'll happen is just next time she sees her, she'll just be like staring at her, like just growling at her like, the whole time. Sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, probably wasn't a whole lot of funny moments in this episode, but two that made me laugh. One was May telling the scientist to get lost. That was funny. And the other one was when we first went to Coulson and Fitz and they first realised that they were not being seen by Mack and May. Like Mack and May pause for a second and just like stand there, and Coulson's like, "Wait, do we look this stupid? We on comms?"
That cracked me up.
Yeah, that was good. We should mention Eli, of course. We did see that he had the ability to create stuff. We didn't realise it was specifically just carbon, but it seems that, at least so far, he can create carbon objects. He creates it. He forms it right in their the soldiers' chests and kills them, and then does a wall.
It's pretty brutal, really.
It is pretty brutal. It makes him really dangerous that he can just go. He can basically just snap his fingers and you die.
Yeah, when you think carbon is like all life on this earth is carbon. Can he control it or can he just create it? Like,
well, in the last episode, he just kind of formed it in thin air on top of his hand. So
yeah, but maybe that's just a first step. Like, who knows?
So I don't know if he actually needs it to make it, but then I don't know.
Yeah.
Because it makes sense for the soldiers, but it also makes that wall. Where does all that carbon come from? Like, so I think he can just create it.
Yeah.
Or he can like transform particles in the air into carbon or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think he can just make it, which is scary. He can do a lot with that. He's basically kind of like Imagine if the T-1000 could also just form the spikes like anywhere in the room and not just on his own body. That's basically what he's.
That's pretty terrifying when you say it like that.
I don't know. Well, I've already started with Terminator 2 references in this episode. I might as well just keep.
I feel like we've made a lot of Terminator references for S.h.i.e.L.D. over the past season.
I can't remember any of the other ones, but I remember just this episode. But I'll take your word for it.
That's the thing. I don't remember the specific, but I remember mentioning it a couple of times.
Oh, it was when they were in the LA River, and we didn't know it was the LA River, and I said that Terminator 2 is the most famous
There
scene.
you go. I knew we'd talked about it.
Yeah, and we got crap in the comments for not knowing it was the LA River, even though there's no water in it, so why would we assume it's a river? Come on, guys. Like, forgive me for thinking the bone-dry land was a river.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, dear. Oh, now I know that, so I've learned something. I enjoy learning things.
And you got in a Terminator reference.
I got in a Terminator reference, so I'm okay with all these things.
Yeah.
No, it was a solid episode. I'm happy to have S.h.i.e.L.D. back. I think this advanced things a lot. And of course, we ended. Well, two ending scenes actually, because we had the pre-credit and the post-credit kind of thing. So Robbie does come through the same portal. By the way, that portal looked really cool when Aida was doing all the laser
Yeah,
thing.
I was just about to mention that. Yeah. That looked fantastic.
That was a nice visual. But so Robbie like pops out of that, and Mack's just sitting there like being all weird, and it's having the rider in him's like done like it's like maybe brought like emotions you already had there up or something like that. Would be my guess anyway at this point. And like Robbie's like, "Do you want me to help, or do you want to help me settle the scores or whatever?"
Well, that's the thing. The rider kept talking about all his hate, didn't he?
Yeah.
So I feel like maybe he's just more aware of it now.
Yeah, it's brought it all to the surface.
Yeah.
So it seems like he's going to team up with Robbie on his thirst for vengeance, which should be an interesting character journey for Mack, who Mack's always been great on the show, but I feel like they've maybe not given him his own story too much.
He's often served this Sky.
Yeah.
Which has not been a bad thing. Like, it's always been good and enjoyable, but like say...
I think at first it was Fitz, and then it was Sky. Like, he was like buddy with Fitz when Fitz was still sort of ill after season 1, and then
he partnered up with Sky and became...
and that was all good, but yeah, maybe this is a chance for him to... I mean, obviously he's partnering up with Ghost Rider, but this is different. This is maybe more of a personal journey, because it's his own character that's like motivating this change and what he's going through. And then the other final scene that we got was now that Ada's read this book, which, by the way, I like the idea that having the android read the book so that it wouldn't corrupt her, but then at the end it seems like it's maybe giving her one too many ideas. Also, I did like, you know how we already seen in the previous episodes that it would always like appear in the language you know best. I loved it when she looked at it, it was all just zeros and ones.
Yeah, I thought it was a nice touch.
Yeah. But yeah, so she's like using these laser things again, like, and I say lasers, that's what they look like. In the actual fact, they're like other dimensional construction lines.
There's something.
Yeah, there's something, but she's building a brain, which I assume's for herself.
Yeah, the implication I got was this is her essentially just creating a human consciousness, essentially.
For good though, or for bad?
Does it have to be either?
Aye.
Fine. I'm not even going to argue.
Yeah, it does. Has to be one of the. It's not going to just be neutral. Bad probably because the idea came from the book. The book's probably corrupted her. Like.
Yeah, that seems the obvious idea, doesn't it?
Maybe that's too obvious. Maybe I don't know. Or maybe they'll reboot her, but the idea of the intellect will stay in, and we'll end up with this good robot who's got a conscious. I don't know.
Yeah, well, we'll find out soon.
Yeah, but that's S.h.i.e.L.D. Episode 7 of this season. Let us know what you thought of this episode.
Thinking about it again.
Let us know what you thought of this episode in the comments below. Like and subscribe and all that stuff. It helps us out a lot. Tell Connor he's awful, would you please? It helps me if you do that. It helps my sanity. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.